The most powerful man in the room is never the one shouting. He is the one the room is waiting for. Today, we master the Corleone silence. The room is cold, yet the air is thick with the scent of unearned confidence. Someone is challenging you. They are leaning in, expecting a defense, a flush of red across your cheeks, or a hurried, high-pitched voice. To react is to surrender your sovereignty. To speak too soon is to confirm they have successfully breached your perimeter. In this moment, your pulse is your only currency. How you spend it determines your rank. To understand true power, we must analyze the evolution of Michael Corleone. His ascent is not marked by the accumulation of wealth, but by the systematic shedding of reactivity. He transforms from the peripheral heat of a decorated war hero into the glacial, terrifying stillness of the dawn. This is what we call affective sovereignty, the absolute refusal to let the external environment dictate your internal state. When you are confronted with a social encroachment, whether it is a blatant interruption or a veiled passive-aggressive threat, your biological machinery betrays you. This is the System 1 mistake. Rooted deep within the amygdala, System 1 is fast, visceral, and loud. It is the primitive lizard brain demanding you fight for the floor or justify your position. But in the high-stakes world of social engineering, a quick reaction is a confession. It signals that you have been moved. It reveals that you are reading the interaction as a physical threat rather than a psychological vacuum to be managed. This is a fundamental failure of encroachment literacy. Consider Sonny Corleone. He is the walking embodiment of System 1. When insulted, he explodes. To the untrained eye, this looks like strength. To the Stoic observer, it is a profound, fatal vulnerability. Sonny is predictable. His reactivity is a tether, and the world holds the other end, pulling whenever they desire a result. Michael, however, operates through functional compartmentalization. He understands a core truth of power. The moment you react, you have accepted the aggressor's terms. You have entered their theater as a supporting actor in their drama. By maintaining the Corleone silence, you refuse to audition for the role. You remain the director. Recall your last confrontation. Did you react or did you respond? Next time you feel the heat of an insult, identify your System 1 urge. Choose to stay perfectly still for 3 seconds before moving a single muscle. Master the pause, and you master the man. The architecture of silence, mastering the high-status vacuum. We transition now to the construction of a fortress, the architecture of silence. This is not a passive absence of noise, but a present silence, a high-status refusal to provide the expected social lubrication. To master this technique is to understand the physics of the psychological vacuum. The Corleone principle, the power of zero response. Think of Michael Corleone sitting across from Virgil Sollozzo. Sollozzo projects massive psychic energy, leaning forward, gesturing wildly, and layering threats with desperate intensity. A lesser man, a reactor, would instinctively meet that energy with his own. He would nod to show he's listening, or argue to defend his ego, all in a subconscious attempt to ease the mounting tension. Michael does none of this. He sits with a stillness that is almost geological. This is the clinical application of zero response. By withholding expected nods, smiles, or micro-expressions, Michael engages System 2, the cold, analytical prefrontal cortex, while his opponent remains trapped in the emotional heat of the moment. He creates a psychological void. Because humans are evolutionarily hardwired to seek feedback to calibrate their status, the total lack of it causes the aggressor's brain to misfire. The result: the aggressor begins to over-explain, stutter, and repeat himself. He is essentially drowning in the space that Michael refused to fill. The anatomy of the strategic pause. The strategic pause is not a void. It is the presence of intense, focused attention. When you are challenged or pressured, do not move to fix the tension. Instead, lean into it. This is where the power dynamic undergoes a phase change. To execute this, maintain a steady, analytical gaze. This is not an alpha glare designed to intimidate, but rather the look of a forensic pathologist examining a specimen. It is detached, objective, and deeply unnerving. Physical discipline. Keep your hands perfectly still. Respiratory control. Keep your breath deep and rhythmic. The dead zone. In this silence, the aggressor's internal monologue shifts from dominance to doubt. They begin to wonder, what is he thinking? Have I gone too far? Is he 3 steps ahead of me? High-status individuals do not react to the noise of the environment. They are the environment. By controlling your internal tempo, you force others to march to your beat. You become the gravity well around which the conversation must eventually collapse. Practice the zero response in your next low-stakes meeting. When a colleague or peer finishes a point, or even while they are speaking, maintain a completely neutral expression. Resist the urge to or tilt your head. Observe the exact moment their confidence wavers. Watch how they struggle to fill the silence you've created with unnecessary justifications. By doing nothing, you have gained everything. Post-heroic leadership. When the silence is finally broken, your words must be sparse, heavy, and delivered like a physical object placed upon a table. This marks your formal transition into post-heroic leadership. True authority is never found in the loudest voice in the room. It is forged in the restraint of the one who remains unmoved, while the rest of the world revolves in a frantic, desperate attempt to find its footing. The re-engineering of identity. To master this, you must undergo a fundamental re-engineering of your identity. You must cease viewing social interactions as skirmishes to be won or lost, or as battles for temporary dominance. If you are defending yourself, you have already lost. You are still operating within the aggressor's frame, reacting to their rhythm. To achieve true effective sovereignty, you must realize that you are not a player within the frame, you are the frame itself. Silence is not just a tactic, it is the atmosphere you carry with you. The ultimate mindset shift. As you internalize this reality, the primal fear of the social vacuum evaporates. You no longer perceive a challenge as a threat to your ego, but rather as a clumsy, unrefined disruption of the peace you provide. This is the ultimate mindset shift, moving from the defensive, twitchy posture of an anxious achiever to the authoritative stillness of the observer. You aren't just surviving the noise, you are rendering it irrelevant. The aggressor's energy is like a wave crashing against a granite cliff. It makes a great deal of sound, creates white foam and fury, but the cliff remains entirely unchanged and profoundly indifferent to the assault. Functional compartmentalization and gravity. In this final state of functional compartmentalization, your presence becomes the benchmark for the environment's frequency. You do not match the vibe of the room matches you. When you are still, others instinctively begin to slow their pace, lower their volume, and steady their breathing to match yours. This is the ultimate power, not to coerce through force, not to demand through volume, to govern yourself so completely that the world has no choice but to adjust to your gravity. You are the one who decides when the chaos ends and when the order begins. This is the enduring legacy of the Corleone silence, the realization that the most powerful man in the room is often the one who says the least, because he is the only one who truly owns himself. True sovereignty is internal. Commit to being the still point in your chaotic world today. Observe how the environment bends to your composure. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to continue mastering the high-stakes art of high-status restraint. Reflect on this. Are you the wave or are you the cliff?